the Upshot, multi-world disc golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. Get out your spooky Christmas trees from USDGC. Put them up. Halloween is almost here. Can we talk about that really quick? I don't know if this really got enough discussion at the time, because now it's topical because it's Halloween.
Yes.
They put in the trees instead of the mozzarella sticks, right, Josh?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then they wrapped them with spiderweb, fake spiderweb. And then they unwrapped them with fake spiderweb for the last round. Why did those things happen? Whose idea was the spiderweb? Why did they do the spiderweb? Was that a troll? Did somebody from the gallery come in with spiderweb and web it up overnight?
It feels like one of those hot dog bandit kind of things that just it's just a conspiracy theory that we can have fun with and move on from, because we're never going to know. I just want to know why there wasn't the same outrage about painting OB lines as covering spiderweb objects. But I think those are equally egregious faux pas in the middle of a tournament. But maybe that's a hot take.
Well, we're trying to bring that spooky Christmas tree energy to today's show. Halloween, always an interesting time. You know, I got the mini pumpkins going on in here right now. Feeling that fall vibe. Josh, you said something to me before the show. You said if your Halloween costume does not involve a parka, you're doing it wrong. Now, what are you talking about?
Well, it's snowing right now, Charlie. We are below freezing at night.
That's not right, Josh.
Oh no, it's normal. I can't, I can count on one hand the number of Halloweens as a kid that didn't have snow on the ground. It's just pretty normal that you expect at least a light dusting of snow. I don't know. I just always think of Halloween as like a winter activity now, because it's what it is most of the time in Idaho. It's at the very least, it's like high 30s, low 40s is the best you're going to get evening time Halloween. So
coming out of peak pandemic, May 2021, I saw crazy good flights from New York to Jackson, Wyoming.
Okay.
And I'm like, great. Let's go to Yellowstone. Let's check it out. It's going to be awesome. And then, so I bought the tickets. And then I'm like reading about like Yellowstone in late May. And it's like, it's going to be freezing. Nothing is open. Like, no one is there. And I was like, oh, right. It's like way up there.
Yes.
So I can't believe it's already snowing. That means, though, the ski season is close, Josh.
It is close.
That's music to my ears.
Last weekend, I had a C tier and a doubles tournament. I was going to go play in Montana, in Helena, where I went to college. And we chose not to because there was risk of the pass getting closed because they were expected 14 inches of snow over last weekend. So...
wow.
Yeah, we chose not to go, but I mean that's just Idaho. Like once October hits, you just have to accept the fact that your plans will probably change due to weather at some point during the next month.
Well, here's another one for you. I'm like, I'm going to go to Yosemite and do a big national park road trip down. And we went on the trip. It was awesome. Yeah. We did Yosemite and Sequoia, and then we went through Death Valley on the way to a wedding in Santa Fe. And so I was like, well, let's fly into Reno. We'll save us some driving time to fly into Reno and then just take the shortcut to Yosemite. This was June. This was like June 15th. Pass was still closed. Still packed with snow. Had to drive 4.5 hours around. Brutal.
Oh, welcome to the West, right? I mean, I'm
mountain life.
Yeah,
baby.
Mountain life. That's right.
All right. We are going to have a short show today. You know what, folks? I think, at least speaking for myself, it's nice to have just kind of like a little bit of calm following the craziness of this disc golf season, which especially at the end of the season was just so jam-packed. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of 2022 recap content to get to. We're going to do our storyline bracket of the year again. We're going to do, we got to talk about manufacturers and their sponsorship deals and how that all played out, in retrospect, and think about where companies are positioned for next year. And we have lots to get to over the next few weeks, but today we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to talk about the start of the 2023 season because it begins at the Lake Marshall Open. I'm sorry. It's the Knowledge Management presents the Lake Marshall Open powered by Prodigy.
One of my
Coming
pet
up,
peeves.
God, coming up starting tomorrow in Virginia. And now I got to say, this is not an elite field. Okay, there's some good players. We got some good players, Josh, and I'm sure we'll see some known names win this tournament. But regardless, the thing I'm most excited for is to check out this course being played by top pros.
Agreed.
This feels like one of those Silver Series that could lead to future Elite Series. They don't all feel that way. Mm-hmm. But I would say that this one does. I've heard a lot of good things about the course. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about what we can expect this weekend.
Well, I did a little bit of research. I had never heard of Lake Marshall. I was not super familiar with the course myself. I went and just did what I always do when I'm looking for a new course. I went to UDisc. UDisc shows that Lake Marshall's Lions course is the course that the players will be playing. I'm not sure if it's modified or not, but the standard UDisc layout has 4.8 rated stars with 275 reviews. So a very highly esteemed course at Lake Marshall. For the layout this weekend, the MPO are going to be playing a track that is 11,600 feet. For FPO, it is 10,200 feet. It looks like the signature hole that we're going to be looking for is going to be hole 18. Now, again, I'd be happy to hear some local insider knowledge if I'm wrong on that. But hole 18 looks like a spectacular hole. It measures at 1,025 feet for the men, 810 feet for the women. It's a long stretch followed by an island hole that reminds me a little bit of USDGC's hole 5, just in the shape that it kind of presents. Looks like the second landing, or the landing zone before the island, does appear to be a little bit larger with a skinnier part in the early stretches of the hole. So little different. But that's kind of the vibes I get from hole 18, but really does look spectacular. Go check out some of the pictures on UDisc because they are picturesque. It is a gorgeous looking course, and I'm really excited to see it on coverage. It kind of goes back to some of the things that we've talked about when we're seeing tracks like this. It's important that the camera viewing angles are good, and that was something that we talked about from Nevin in particular, as opposed to think of like W.R. Jackson. This course does look like it has some technicality to it, but it also has some gorgeous water carries. So I think it's going to be a really exciting weekend that I will be watching post coverage, but we'll definitely be checking out that coverage.
Now we got an email. Josh, who's this email from?
This email is from... I'm sorry I didn't pull that. Hold on. I got it right here.
Oh, that's all right.
It's from Ryan.
I will say, while you say
Ryan.
it again. Ryan. Yeah. All right. Thank you to Ryan. I will say before I read Ryan's email, Lake Marshall is rated at 4.9 stars on Disc Golf Course Review. And the real ones know that the UDisc reviews are trash and the Disc Golf Course Reviews are where you go if you really want to know what's up with a course. Because you're going to go on UDisc and there's going to be some little par 3 dink and dunk course at a local college. It's 4.6 stars.
That is true.
And there's nothing wrong with that course, but it's just not. We're not talking about apples to oranges here a lot of the time. Disc Golf Course Review, on the other hand, the people who take the time to write these reviews, this is legit.
That is true.
So if you want to know what's going on, go check it out. 15 reviews, not that many for the Lions course, but 14 of the 15 are 5 stars. This is no joke, folks. This is the real deal. You can play this course right now. It's on private property. It's $10 or $15 to play around, depending on when you play. There's the Lambs course that you mentioned, Josh. A little bit of an easier layout for the noodle arms among us. And so here is the email from, was it John? Ryan. If I do have one critique of the Upshot, says Ryan, it's that you guys have been sleeping on the job when it comes to amping us up for the Silver Series this weekend at Lake Marshall in Virginia. After a disastrous weekend in Eagles Crossing, it's only fitting that the DGBT comes to the true purpose-built destination course for professional and amateur disc golfers in the country. Throwing shade. I've been to Lake Marshall twice, and I can sincerely say after 80 courses under my belt that the Hutt family and John Bisco have constructed a special set of courses. Don't just take it from me. The players that frequent the Virginia Team Invitational, namely James Conrad, Big Germ, Andrew Fish, Zach Melton, have all cited the Lions course as among the most challenging and fun for professional disc golfers. This weekend, you will get a glimpse of some of the most picturesque and challenging disc golf on the East Coast. Woods, placement shots, risk and reward, and water carries that might humble even Maple Hill. Is it 45 minutes from BC? No. But man, to me, it's worth the Disc Golf Pro Tour carving out a spot for us East Coasters to put on the calendar as a destination. I should add that the other two courses on the property, the Lions and the Lambs, are just as excellent for players looking to play a couple rounds as the pros playing the Lions. So there you go, Josh. Hyping it up, but all I've heard is hype.
That's me too. All I've heard is hype. And here's the big thing. I think that one of the things that we talked about, and you mentioned with Big Money Skins, is the kind of expectations that came with it. We've heard a lot of hype, but this is the beginning. It's a silver event, beginning of the 2023 season. I think this is a good opportunity to test out this course. We'll get to see some top pros play it. We'll get to see kind of the event as it is run and get a view of what we might be able to see moving forward. But it's a silver event, and I don't think there's immense pressure that it has to perform perfectly. I am a bit disappointed that the cell coverage is going to make it unable for us to watch the live coverage final day as normal, but it will be on the post-produced on the Disc Golf Network's YouTube channel, so I'll be looking forward to watching it there.
So, of course, this is the start of the 2023 season because you can earn points right now as part of the wraparound tour for next year. 50 points on the line for the winners. Remember, 3 Silver Series will count. We talked about that Tuesday. Oh, well, show came out Wednesday. Sorry for being late, by the way. And so players have a chance to take the early lead in the 2023 standings. And so let's talk about some players who are going to be there. FPO is pretty thin. There's only 13 players registered right now on the PDGA site. Make it 14 as I just refreshed. Sarah Hokum, Natalie Ryan, Macy Vela-Diaz, and Holly Finley are really the only touring names that you would know. The drop off after those 4, you draw all the way down to Lori Merriman at 903 rated. So expect one of those top 4 to be winning this tournament. But you know what? Sometimes with these local events, you get a surprise with a local player rising up. Josh, MPO is a little bit more contested. Mm-hmm. Chris Dickerson is the highest rated player in the field at 1043. You've also got Joel Freeman, Evan Smith, Ezra Aderhold, Paul Ulibarri, Emerson Keith, Matt Bell, Connor O'Reilly, Andrew Fish, and on down the way. So plenty of guys over 1,000 rated and some pretty big names from the tour.
It also includes players who I think have legitimate shots at winning these events. One, based on their experience by playing Lake Marshall, for example, and 2 guys who are pretty good. And while we don't talk about them in the mix as often with the large number of people that are on tour right now, still think are going to be interesting and could very potentially be up at the top of the leaderboard. That includes names like Zach Melton, Luke Sampson, Kevin Kiefer, Dylan Horst. So names that we've seen before and know, but maybe have not been as competitive this season, but I think have a good chance of showing up and maybe being at least making lead card for an event like this.
So again, you can watch the coverage on the Disc Golf Pro Tour YouTube channel. If you want to watch live coverage, they are going to be streaming the National Amateur Disc Golf Championship from Austin, Texas, final round on Saturday. I'm not going to watch that, but I respect it if you do.
I'm with you, Charlie. I've got a work conference, so unfortunately I'm not going to have the opportunity to.
So yeah, this is the start of the season, and we'll get a little taste. And I think it's going to be kind of nice to like crack into some post-production and just like get a little disc golf after a couple weeks off. And like, it feels low stakes, even though it counts, it doesn't feel like it's like a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's kind of the point I was trying to make a little bit, is that even if, it has been hyped and it seems like it's going to be a really exciting event, but I really just don't have a lot of expectations going into this weekend. I don't have a lot of it's going to be good. I'm excited to watch some players. I'm excited to see this course, but it does not feel yet like 2023 is on the line thanks to this tournament.
No. Another thing coming up, Josh, Monday, the Pro Tour's On Tour series is going to debut on DGN. Are you excited to watch this? This is like the Pro Tour's answer to Drive to Survive F1 series from Netflix, where they basically had camera guys following action all season long, behind the scenes, in people's vans at night, getting interviews with players, and they've shot, 9-10 months worth of footage that's getting edited into 6 episodes that are going to release once a week starting Monday. Are you going to tune in, and are you excited for this new series?
Yeah, I am going to tune in. So I had not watched Drive to Survive. I knew of Drive to Survive, but I didn't watch it until a couple of months ago when I finally did sit down and watch. I think I watched 1 or 2 seasons. It was really engaging, and I really did enjoy it. But I think some of the things that, for me as a disc golf fan who follows the disc golf storylines pretty closely, what I'm going to be looking for is, I don't know the best way to put it, the behind the scenes access, right? I don't want a documentary to present to me.
Here's the tournament recap of Idlewild.
Right. I don't need to be reminded that Simon won 4 events, right? I want to see the things behind the scenes that are engaging and new to me as a disc golfer. Because it's behind a paywall, I think that needs to be the target audience. If it was free and available to anybody, then maybe a little bit more generic coverage and recap. But if I just get those kind of the drama of the tournament, I already know what happened. I know how those tournaments went. I watched them. I'm not interested in that. I would like to see, though, details about the tour and players' interactions and interviews that otherwise are not something that we get to participate or consume on the regular basis with just following along in the tour. Maybe, and I'm interested to talk to people who are not you and me, Charlie. Other disc golf fans who have the Disc Golf Network, because I think we are in tune even more so than other disc golf fans. So I'm going to be interested to hear what their perspective was, compare it with my perspective of what if I felt was fresh, engaging, etc. And then see if maybe I could get somebody like my parents who are not disc golf fans to watch an episode or two and get their reactions, because I think those are going to be very different and unique perspectives on this show and its purpose and its target audience. And I'm going to be really curious to hear feedback from a very wide variety of people who are going to consume this media.
This is really fascinating. I mean, we're seeing in the sports landscape right now massive benefits accruing to the leagues and organizations that manage to get one of these docuseries onto Netflix or the other streaming platforms. So, F1 did it first. F1 has exploded in popularity in the United States. And I think a lot of that really does come down to the fact that they had this Netflix show.
I think you're right.
I personally know people who are like, we watched this Netflix show, we got super into it, and now we get up early on Saturday mornings and we watch the races and have parties to watch the races. And I'm like, I've never even thought about watching an F1 race. And other sports are doing this too. I mean, we're seeing low tier soccer teams do this, and weird sports that you don't know much about. People are getting invested in the stories of these niche sports leagues, or even not niche in the case of F1, which is a massive sport globally.
Sure.
I mean, there's something like 450,000 people in Austin for F1 last weekend. It set a record.
Yeah.
And it's $1,000 to go. It's totally insane. I truly think disc golf could benefit from a show like this getting onto wide distribution.
I agree.
I mean, the personalities are available to you to tell stories with. It is not hard. You have built-in villain characters. You have built-in hero characters. Mm-hmm. And not all disc golfers would be primetime television material. Even the ones who are good. Can you coax enough out of Calvin to make him a TV character? I mean, maybe. But Simon's easy.
Right.
Paul is easy. Yes. Paul has that aloofness to him that kind of makes him almost a little villainous in the context like that, right?
Especially if you use like Ricky and Simon as your heroes in their multiple winning seasons. Yeah.
And so we'll see what this looks like, because you're totally right. It's a very different thing if you're making it for an audience that already follows disc golf, which it kind of feels like that's what this is all about, versus one that you're trying to get in, sort of introduced to disc golf.
Yep.
And this has the potential to be way more impactful than any ESPN2 stream that you would ever do, regardless of the time of day. Like, people don't care that much about watching just some random thing, but if they get invested in like the reality series style part of it, with people sniping at each other, which happens, then you have this chance to like actually develop fandom from non-players, which I think is like a mostly untapped part of disc golf right now. You think about other sports. How many NFL fans play football? Like none. Maybe people throw around a football or, play a Thanksgiving game, but people are not playing organized football and then watching NFL. The audience for disc golf right now is those who play disc golf, but not who just enjoy sports. Now, there are people out there, and they've emailed us when we know they exist, but it's a small, small percentage. So perhaps a show like this could drive things in the future. We'll see what happens.
The other advantage that I think disc golf has is in its timing, because it's a year-long sport during the summer. And look, Charlie, you and I enjoy baseball. I'm not going to knock baseball too hard, but people are disengaging from baseball, right? I know a lot of sports fans who are really big football and NBA fans, and then they just don't watch sports for a couple of months during the summer because that's just what they prefer to consume. Some will include hockey in that, right? I'm also a hockey fan, but baseball, of a lot of sports, is just not being watched nearly as much on television as it used to be. I think it's a problem. It is a problem the MLB is very well aware of, and they're trying to rectify and increase the viewership of the MLB games. But given that that's the case, I think proposing alternatives like disc golf during those summer months when your football and basketball fans aren't quite as heavily invested in the United States, it gives an opportunity to fill some of that void and give people a sport to follow.
It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what comes of it, because disc golf is still feels like it has this opportunity in front of it to kind of like launch higher because of, the quality of the game right now, the quality of the drama week in and week out from both, sort of like a human interest perspective, but also, of course, the sport side of it itself. So it should be fun. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Make sure you check out Pound's Custom Pack Builder, where you can customize every aspect of the bag, from the upper fabric, the lower fabric, the zippers, the sliders, the cords. You can get an Octothorpe, an Octahall, a toolbox, or even a Carlton in custom options. And stay tuned, Rufus Customs coming soon. Go to PoundDiscGolf.com to check out the Custom Pack Builder today.
Sunset Lake CBD is a hemp farm located just outside of Burlington, Vermont. For years, Sunset Lake produced milk for Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and in 2019, they diversified and started growing hemp for CBD. Sunset Lake CBD believes that their farm table approach is the best way for you to get responsibly produced, high-quality CBD products that actually work. Sunset Lake CBD crafts topicals, gummies, oils, and more to help with stress, aches, and sleep. I know I've talked before about how I like using the melatonin CBD-infused gummies before I go to sleep. But one thing I remarked this week that is a really nice feature of it, if I take NyQuil, I have to set a timer because I've got 30 minutes and then I'm going to be completely dysfunctional. I can take this melatonin CBD and I can continue to watch my movie, read a book, and go to bed when I feel ready rather than forced by other medication. I think it's a big deal for me. I really appreciate the sleep I can get. And I know the melatonin-infused CBD has been great. Check them out today and all their other products at sunsetlakecbd.com and use coupon code UPSHOT for 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer-owned, Vermont-grown.
Before we sign it off, we've got to do our first picks of the 2023 season. And Josh, I feel like for now, we're just going to make the picks. And if we need to revise our point structure for next year, we're going to announce it late. And we're going to figure it out in the coming months. We also have to do a full recap of all of our 2022 picks and take a look at who won the over-under contest on the season, who won the picks contest on the season. We're going to do all of that next week, so we'll catch up on everything. And
Spoiler,
you know what?
Charlie won the picks game. The over-under is the only one that's going to be close.
I probably dominated you in the picks. I had a stretch there where I could not miss.
Like 5 tournaments in a row, you picked
the
winner. It was unreal.
So, Josh, it's a silver series, so we're just picking winners. Who you going with?
I will go in MPO first. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to take Chris Dickerson. I think that the technicality of this course is going to favor Chris Dickerson. He's the highest rated player by about 6 points. After that, I mean, it falls off pretty drastically. There's only one person who's within 15 points of Chris Dickerson's rating. So I like Chris Dickerson for this weekend, as boring of a pick as that may be.
I'm going to go with kind of a sneakier pick. I'm taking Yuli. Yuli's kind of been picking it up a little bit lately because, of course, he's coming off of like a hiatus and he was a little bit hurt. And the thing is, if you kind of look at the last couple events, he's 15th at MVP Open. He was 15th at USDGC. Those aren't amazing numbers, but I mean, that's better than he was playing. I feel like he's a sneaky pick this weekend. We'll see. There's probably some holes out there that, he might not be able to reach birdie on, but I think the technicality of it is enough for me to feel confident that he might actually get out here and sneak in a win.
Good pick. What do you got in FPO?
I've been going back and forth. I'm going to go with the Woods Wizard here, Holly Finley.
Okay.
I think Holly's, playing fairly close to home, and, I'm not super familiar with Lake Marshall, so I don't exactly know kind of what level of technicality we're talking about here, but this feels like a kind of course in the East Coast vibe that Holly Finley tends to excel at.
I'm going to take Macy Vela Diaz. I think that she is someone that we don't talk about enough when she gets to play at home, or in this case, close to home. She won the Lexington Open, which was an A tier, as well as the Tennessee State Disc Golf Championships, both at A tiers. And I just think, she's had some good finishes at Des Moines. She took 3rd at MVP. She took 9th. She really does have the ability and the skills necessary to put it together. And I really think this is going to be a good opportunity for her to shine. And so I'm going to take Macy Vela Diaz.
She's creeping up there in rating, too. She's up to 957.
She is.
Career high.
I say that when she's close to home. I have no clue how close Tennessee is to Virginia, so please don't at me if I.
Oh God.
I don't want any emails that's like.
What qualifies as close to home? So we're gonna look. I have
no idea.
Morristown, Tennessee, is where Macy Vela Diaz is listed as from. I'm gonna go ahead and go on Google Maps. We're gonna take a look, and she's just south of the very southwestern tip of Virginia. So how long is the drive to Lake Marshall Disc Golf? Lake Marshall Disc Golf Nope. The Lair. That's the one. It is a 7-hour drive.
Yeah. I could still be in Idaho with a 7-hour drive.
Lake Marshall's all the way on the eastern seaboard side of Virginia.
Okay, all right. Maybe not as close to home. I'm standing by my pick, and I don't want any flack in the Discord. That's just saying it now.
All right, sounds good. Adjacent states, that's close to home. That counts.
It's close to home.
That counts. I just said that Holly Finley was close to home, and she's from Tennessee too. So
okay. When you say adjacent states, like for me to get from Montana to anywhere in like the Dakotas, which is an adjacent state, you're talking like 15-hour drives, 12-hour drives.
The West is different. So we're going to leave it there today. Quick show. In and out. Halloween is here. So happy Halloween, folks. And Josh, do you have a costume? Are you doing anything?
I don't have a costume.
Giving out candy?
Yeah, we've got pumpkins. We're gonna paint pumpkins that'll go on our porch, and we'll keep our porch light on to give out some trick or treaters. But no costume for me this year.
You going full size candy bars? I feel like that's the move.
We don't have full size candy bars. Man, you're making me feel bad.
No, I mean in this inflationary environment, I don't blame you one bit.
We did go with like the assorted mix that has like gummies and like Sour Patch, and so not just chocolate though.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm personally not a chocolate eater, so I'm always a sucker for the other fruity candies.
Good stuff. All right, well, happy Halloween, everybody. Lake Marshall Open kicks off the 2023 Disc Golf Pro Tour season. Josh and I will be back with you next week on another edition of The Upshot. Talk to you then.